Very good morning, all of you. Last class we started to discuss about phases of clinical trial, and we were discussed about what is clinical trial and why it is important, what are the various phases in clinical trial, and what is the objective of each phases, and how we are doing. What are the phases? Phase 0, phase 1, and in phase 2 there are two types, phase 2A, 2B. Like that in phase 3 also 3A and 3B is there. Uh, all we discussed phase 0 in detail we have seen, and what is the goal of phase 0, how it is done, what are the limitations and advantages, and then how we are moving to stepping towards phase 1. And there are another two types there, how it is divided, what is the differences between that two phases, and then what is the actual observations in phase 1, and what is phase 1 and 2, and what are the phases in under phase 2, 2A, 2B, and what is the difference, how many number of participants and duration, efficacy testing and endpoint, all we have discussed. This is about 2B. And then we discussed about the success rate and failures occur in which area during phase 2 normally worldwide, and then 3, 3A, 3B. I think we have to discuss about this phase 3. From here, we have to start our discussion. Okay, phase 3 also done in two phases, phase 3A, phase 3B. Phase 3, how it is divided, studies confirm safety and effectiveness of the drug is one part, and studies that explore dose response relationship in different stages of the disease and in combination with another drug is phase 3B. Like that it is divided. So one part confirms the safety and effectiveness, then we are confidently start experimenting on a large population. In 3B, there we are assessing the dose response relationship. Phase 3B, sorry, phase 3 trials are the last stage before clinical approval of a new drug or device. By this stage, there will be convincing evidences of the safety of the drug or devices and its efficacy in treating people who have the condition for which it was developed is achieved. This study should be intended to provide an adequate basis for marketing approval. So this is the last stage. After that, we apply for marketing approval and directly launch the product in the market. Studies in phase 3 may also further explore the dose response relationships. In that, we focus on relationships among dose concentration in blood, and clinical responses. All three will be correlated. Use of the drug in wider populations in different stages of disease, or the safety and efficacy of the drug in combination with other drugs, everything will be done. Here, one more thing we should know that we do some relaxations in the population of patients we incorporate in this study. Before previous stages, we follow strict inclusion exclusion criteria. Here, relative relaxation, people with multiple other complications also will be included, and related problems also will be assessed. Phase 3A is a confirmatory trials. Here we focus on safety related information. To confirm safety and effectiveness of the drug is the objective, and basis of marketing approval, NDA application. So here only we collect evidences and we submit as an proof to get NDA application, new drug application. Active controlled studies will be done in this. That is the design of the study. Active controlled studies, one group will be kept control and other group will be test. Conducted in patients with whom the drug will be eventually intended. Mild asthmatics, moderate and severe diarrhea, also those patients also incorporated. Inclusion exclusion criteria relatively relaxed. So many number of patients are possible to include in this category, and different because we confirmed this safety. So regulatory authorities also will permit to incorporate many number of patients in this. Different dosages and combinations with other drugs will be included, studied. Different patient populations will be studied in multi-centers throughout the globe. Phase 3A confirms is done under maximum of 3,000 patients, a large population. And we confirm the clinical parameters, laboratory test and diagnostic test, all we develop in this stage. And we prove that the clinical endpoints, that means this is the stage, this problem is solved therapeutically, like that. We keep some clinical endpoints that will be confirmed. And duration of the study, it may take 1 year to 4 years to confirm this. It's a long-term study and on a large population. So any hidden adverse drug reactions also may possible to be reported during this long-term experimentation on people and many number of people. So statistically significant results may be possible. Information obtained from the phase 3 studies are definitive proof of efficacy. We can confirm everything. So confidently we can market the product. Additional safety data in large patients. Adverse effects with longer duration of treatment is we can come to know. We can come to know that is not possible in phase 2. Information for package inserts and labeling of medicine. Any precautions, any contraindications, adverse reaction, drug-drug interactions, all can be kept in the form of inserts, packing inserts. So that information we may collect from this stage. Phase 3 is a large scale trial. Phase 3B. Here, the purpose of phase 3B, already we have seen once again. During phase 3B, the purpose of the study is to gain experience with the experimental agents in a large number of subjects to reflect the general population at risk. Therefore, the trials are less tightly controlled. All subjects may receive experimental drug and entry criteria are relaxed and a large number of patients are enrolled. Here, the subjects involved are come from large heterogeneous patient population. The subject population may focus on specific concurrent illness to further delineate the drug's safety. So that is the advantage of this study. Here, any unnoticed adverse reactions from the previous phases may be reported from this stage because it is a long-term study with a large number of population. The length of the study goes around 1 year to 4 years and are used to gather additional data about the investigational agent. During phase 3 also, many drugs fails to prove their efficacy. In this, the reason why the failures were classified, and this graph shows how this failure occurred. Many of the drugs, around 50% drugs, fails to prove clinical efficacy. Even after thorough testing during preclinical stage, phase 0, phase 1, phase 2A, 2B, and 3A, they are fails to prove in phase 3 itself the clinical efficacy. Around 50% drug candidates are fails to prove here. Like that, the drug is tested on patients with multiple problems. So many portfolios are kept to assess the safety. On that basis, around 25 drugs are 25% of the drug are fails to prove their efficacy. And then due to unreported reasons 13%, toxicological reasons 6%. That is, we have to note here that due to toxicological reasons, very small amount of drugs or percentage of drugs or fails to prove their efficacy. So that is the proof that the various level of testing the drugs in clinical trial in various phases that ensures the safety among the tested population. Only 6% of undergo a risk in this testing, and regulatory reasons another 6% fails. So like this, the success rate goes, and after successfully completing phase 3, we have to apply for new drug application. After this stage, the drug molecule which is tested here attains a stage as a new drug. Previously, it is considered as investigational drug. After filing NDA with the regulatory authority, that is new drug application, the necessary data are all collected through the previous clinical trial phases will be submitted to the regulatory authorities for their approval. NDA is done following successful completion of all three phases of human clinical trials. The company analyzes all of the data and files an NDA with the FDA or CDSCO in India. They are the regulatory authorities to demonstrate the safety and effectiveness of the drug. The NDA must contain all of the scientific information that the company has gathered on the compound, and the NDA should include 1 lakh pages and more about to prove the safety and efficacy of the drug. By legislation, the FDA is allowed 6 months to review an NDA filing. That means it takes minimum 6 months. So we have to wait from phase 3 to phase 4, minimum 6 months to get the regulatory authorities approval. Okay, next stage in the clinical trial is phase 4. After the 3 phases of clinical testing and after the treatment has been approved for marketing, there may be a 4th phase to study the long-term effects of the drug or treatment, or to study the impact of another factor in combination with the treatment. For example, a particular drug reduces agitation of this particular testing drug. Usually, such trials are sponsored by pharmaceutical companies and described as pharmacovigilance program. So phase 4 is called as post-marketing studies. Here, the drug will be marketed and then the studies will be continued. Here, we relaxing the entire inclusion-exclusion criteria of study participants. We are openly allowing all the population to collect these medicines and use. So here we can gather many other informations that were not noticed in the previous phases. Phase 4 study is approved by regulators to gather additional information about the product safety, efficacy, on optimal usage. Here, the patient population may have multiple comorbid conditions, and they will use many other medicines along with this prescribed medicine. So there is a possibility to study their long-term usage related drug-drug interactions and their safety related information. So agreed with the regulators at the time of approval of drug, this post-marketing surveillance is allowed. During this study, we can get, refine, confirm or deny the safety of the drug or devices after it is used in the general population or large number of people who have a wide variety of medicinal conditions. That means we can confirm that either this can be approved as a drug or not at all approved as a drug. So that decision can be taken after post-marketing studies. There is no other way. Once it fails to prove its efficacy, and it will be denied to approve in all the stages. Post-marketing surveillance uses several approaches to monitor drug and device safety. Some of them are, we are maintaining electronic health records here, and the patient's registries will be maintained, and record linkages between health databases will be maintained. That is all part of safety reporting. So during this stage, pharmacovigilance program is helpful to monitor the safety of the drug, and it will be monitored by the original owner of the product, that sponsors, and also by the regulatory authorities. Why this post-marketing surveillance study is approved by regulatory authorities? Why this study is permitted on human population? The reasons are, we can say the reasons in 3 reasons for this. Reason 1 is, it is not possible to study more than a few thousand patients in clinical trial. The economics of the pharmaceutical industry does not allow for more money and time to spend on pre-launch development than it done currently. Anymore, pre-launch spending would make drugs even more expensive than they are today and render them unmarketable and also delay its reach to patients. This is the main reason. Actually, if you are permitting new drugs only by conducting lakhs of people in phase 4 by the sponsor only, means and the cost of expenditures will also be higher, and that will be calculated on the price of the product, so nobody can offer the price. So like that reasons, the regulatory authorities are permitting to study on open population once the safety is ensured on 90% in phase 3. And in phase 2, reason 2 is a lot of the additional knowledge about drugs comes from scientific rather than from commercial interest. Through research done by individual workers in universities and research institutions, and by group of investigators with academic interest in the drug or in therapeutics. Generally, such studies are possible only after the drug receives a regulatory approval and becomes commercially available. So this reason states that uh, once the drug is marketed openly to the people, then it is available for the all the research groups to study openly. So any institutions, student groups, academic institutions, all they can take it as a project and review the safety and efficacy of the drug, and they can also submit the reports to the government. In the previous phases, in phase 3, it is the product is owned by a particular sponsor, so it is not before marketing. No other group can interfere in their study. Once it is marketed, anybody can study and report. So that is the advantage of uh, finding many other problems related to the study, to the investigation of product. And reason 3 is some of the new knowledge about the drug is obtained by serendipity when doctors all over the world use the drug in a wide spectrum of patients with varied ethnicity, various underlying diseases, and a range of concomitant medications. So many number of people are enrolled in this study. That means it is open to the population, so anybody can use. So they may have multiple problems, and also they are using many other drugs along with this medicine. So many new interesting informations can be collected through post-marketing surveillance study. In phase 4, we are getting a real life scenario. We are relaxing entire inclusion exclusion criteria. We are getting also the technical support from the sponsors because the safety is continuously monitored, and we are getting competitive reasons to find a new market for the product, and also interactions with the drug if not tested earlier can be possibly tested here, and special populations like pregnant women can be tested in this, and the study is for a very long time, long duration study, so any unreported adverse drug reactions can be found here. During post marketing surveillance, we can that the safety of the study is monitored by pharmacovigilance program, and rare adverse drug reactions like immunogenicity related problems can be reported, and we are maintaining the safety and safety of the participants by continuously monitoring through spontaneous reporting databases, prescription event monitoring, electronic health records, patient registries, and records. Data mining processes to highlight potential safety related information. Surveillance minimizes the harmful consequences, maximizes the optimal use of the drug in the post-marketing surveillance study. Advantages of post-marketing surveillance study, if you consider, here we are testing more than 3,000 to 5,000 patients, and we are finding adverse reactions among them only one in out of 3,000 to 5,000 patients. So very rarely reported adverse drug reactions are found in this stage because they are completely filtering in phase 3. But even that one report also, there is no possibility to gather such information in phase 1, 2, or 3 because these are very rare, and it can be found only by testing in a large population and for a longer duration only. These rare adverse reactions are more likely to be detected when large number of patients are exposed to a drug after it has been approved and marketed only. So another advantage of post-marketing surveillance study is it exemplifies the difference between efficacy and effectiveness. Here we can understand the correct meaning of what is efficacy and effectiveness. Efficacy we can prove to the regulatory authorities by experimenting the drug under a controlled environment in the clinical trial in the previous stages up to phase 3. Just by monitoring closely the safety and the compliance, we can prove that the drug is having efficacy. Effectiveness is the real test of a drug when it is used in a much larger population with varied organ system function, concomitant drug, and whether monitoring and compliance are not always ensured. In other words, a post-marketing surveillance study is a non-interventional study requested by regulatory authorities to verify the safety, tolerability, and effectiveness of a marketed drug in a particular population for the locally approved label. So we can find the difference between efficacy and effectiveness in this post-marketing surveillance. In India, during pharmacovigilance program, during the post-marketing surveillance study phase, we have to collect the data and to be submitted to the Drugs Control General of India (DCGI) within 2 years of launch of the drug to the market. And periodic safety update reports (PSURs) are filed at regular intervals as specified in the revised Schedule Y of the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. So this is the way the drugs are monitored in post-marketing surveillance in India. This graph shows how a chemical entity develops into a drug and what is the duration it takes. For example, we are taking 10,000 to 25,000 chemical entities. They're not called as drugs, chemical entities, and we are screening them with various syntheses, examining screening procedures, and we are doing basic research. By this, we are filtering them and we are finding eligible candidates of 10 to 20 from them. For that, we took 3 years. We started preclinical testing on animals. We confirmed their toxicity, therapeutic effectiveness, and we are selecting only 5 or to 10 out of them for human studies. For that, we took 5 to 6 years. After phase 5, only 2 to 5 are eligible to test on phase 2, 7 years over. Then we are selecting 2 for phase 3, human studies, and then out of 2, only 1 is selected for post-marketing surveillance in phase 4. So out of 2, only 1 is considered as a new drug molecule, and that is launched into the market. Even after launching into the market, it has to prove its efficacy and effectiveness. If it fails, may be withdrawn from market within 1 or 2 years of launching. So there are many history of withdrawal from the market after approval also. See, it took 10 years to one chemical entity developed into a drug molecule. And we have tested around 10,000 to 25,000 molecules. From that, one drug is approved. We have many examples. The drugs are withdrawn even after marketed during post-marketing surveillance studies. For example, Valdecoxib is a very notorious example. It is marketed in the year 2001, withdrawn from the market in 2005. Within this 5 years duration, what happened? It is a very popular NSAID drug marketed during that 2001, and that was recalled from the market due to many serious adverse drug reactions reported. For example, heart effects including death, heart attack, and stroke, as well as increased risk of serious skin reactions such as epidermal necrosis, erythema, multiform, and Stevens-Johnson syndromes, like that. See, wonder to note that during post-marketing surveillance study only these problems were reported. During phase 3 also these problems were not reported. So that is this importance of post-marketing surveillance. During long-term study and experimenting on diverse population, we can come to know many serious problems of the identified approved chemical moieties. The next example is bromfenac. This was marketed in the year 97 and the next year itself withdrawn from the market. This reported 12 cases of severe liver damage once after marketing, And the drug has reported in all the cases of death and liver disease occurred in patients who took the drug for longer than 10 days. Within 10 days, it showed severe toxicity, but it was not proved in previous phases of clinical trial. So this is another example. And this tabular column is the summary and recap of the previous discussions. Here in phase 0, we are testing on 10 people. Phase 1, 20 to 100 people were enrolled. Phase 2, 100 to 300 people were enrolled. Phase 3, 300 to 3000 people were participated. Phase 4 on the open population. During this 4 phases, phase 1 took minimum 1 year, phase 2 1 to 2 years, phase 3 3 to 5 years, phase 4 no fixed duration. And here phase 1 we incorporated healthy volunteers, occasionally patients with advanced rare diseases like TB and patients with cancer and all. And phase 1 we are experimenting on patients, subject receiving experimental drug. Phase 3 patients receiving experimental drug but with little relaxations. And phase 4 it is open to the public with multiple patients with multiple medication problems. In phase 4, in all 4 phases, the objectives if you consider, during the preclinical trial, we are testing on mechanism of the drug action, efficacy of the drug, and pathogen, disease, safety, all we are testing on animals. During phase 1, pharmacodynamics effects, desired effects, mechanism of action of the drug, pharmacokinetic parameters on humans of this we are testing. During phase 2, drug disease interactions, efficacy at various doses, patient safety, all are tested and proved. And during phase 3, dosage intervals, risk, benefit information, efficacy and safety for subgroups all are tested. During phase 4, we are continuously testing on the drug safety, efficacy within the large diverse population. And also we are testing on pharmacoeconomics, how these therapeutic procedures are economically comparatively cheaper than the existing procedures. This is our question bank. Here we some questions related to various phases of clinical trial are covered in this discussion. Explain briefly about phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials. Define phase 0. Objectives of various phases 1, 2, 3 and 4. And difference between phase 2A and phase 2B. What are the objectives of phase 2 studies? All we discuss in this discussion. Thank you.